Okay, welcome to the Blah Podcast. In this episode, everybody dies, coming at you, recording live from inside the power band.
I'm loving the full bore. You should host some monster truck rallies or something.
Believe me, dude. That's been one of my lifelong dreams. It's on my bucket list for my career.
You could do a good job, I reckon.
Totally, man. Sunday.
Dude, come on, give me a witness the awesome spectacular of Count Truckula versus Frankentruck.
Witness the awesome spectacular of Count Truckula
versus Frankentruck.
I loved how what'd you say, Frankentruck?
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah. I love how the guy would be like, he would always go high and low, so it would be like, he would be like, come witness the awesomeness of Frankentruck and Gravedigger. You know what I mean? That's how he went, the whole thing.
It's awesome.
You guys ever been to a monster truck rally?
I have not ever been to a monster truck rally.
I have not.
Sorry.
I went to one in Providence, and it was the most pathetic thing I think I've ever seen. It was like an hour of these guys racing ATVs around. The actual monster truck part was just it was like a little demo. Yeah. It only went on for 20 minutes, and then it was over.
Right.
Sweet. They had a motorcycle gas tank in it. They only had enough for 20 minutes.
It was insane. Yeah. It was Gravedigger and somebody else. I forget. But Gravedigger just kind of drove up over some cars and stopped at the top of a dirt mound with one tire up. Kind of, when monster trucks do that weird thing.
Right. Waving.
Yeah. That was it, and shot some flames out of the tailpipes or whatever. It was just the most pathetic thing I think I've ever seen.
That's heartbreaking, man.
That is pathetic, man.
But yeah, that was a good time.
Speaking of the 80s, this all ties so perfectly in with our topic today because the film we're talking about today is super juvenile and full of 80s references.
Absolutely. I was just going to mention a band of knuckleheads.
Yep, there you
go. Which dovetails nicely with tonight's topic. We're going to be talking about some of my favorite eye candy in a movie, Guardians of the Galaxy.
And Gravedigger.
I think we should petition. I think we should start a petition to get Gravedigger in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. What do you guys think?
Absolutely.
Dude,
absolutely.
That is exactly where this whole thing is going. I mean, come on. I saw that coming 5 minutes ago. Gravedigger definitely needs to be in the next GOG. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, James Gunn should be one of the Guardians of the Galaxy driving Gravedigger.
Yeah.
That's his superpower.
No, is it his brother that was in the second one? Or I guess he was in both of them. I can't remember the name of the character. The guy that gives Star Wars the Zune at the end of part 2.
Oh, the skinny dude?
Yeah, is that James Gunn's brother?
I don't know. He's a string bean of a dude.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so the character's name is Kraglin and the actor's name is Sean Gunn. Indeed, I was right. Yay!
In this episode, everyone uses IMDb.
Can you read the article aloud for the listeners, just to make it extra audiobook?
No.
You gotta have the facts, especially these days, in a post-fact world.
Right, exactly. Don't we have an intern for that, right?
Yes, yeah.
So where are we going to fly to first?
Yeah, we should probably address the elephant in the room. We should probably talk about James Gunn. And Chad, what did we come up with on that one? I don't remember exactly.
I just think it's a delicate topic, but I mean, my personal view on it is I wasn't there. I don't know what happened. I've seen the stupid things that he wrote, but I don't know the guy. I don't know the context. He clearly was being an idiot about it, but I tend to side with the cast who were there and know more context, who all felt that it was not a reasonable thing to do. And based on Disney's hiring him back over the last 24 to 48 hours, clearly they also feel that it was a little bit of an overreaction. But I think it adds a super interesting element to the films because the basis of the films is so wrapped up in juvenile humor, and his foibles on Twitter were extremely juvenile and inappropriate, and it just kind of showed me that in a weird way he's the best person to make these movies because it's about a juvenile, stunted main character who acts like an asshole, who through his character arc develops into a less of an asshole. So he's kind of following in Quill's footsteps here.
I like that.
for the folks at home, Chad, what exactly are we talking about here? He made some comments about what and when did he do this? This was 10 years ago?
Yeah, so I've looked into it a little bit just so that I wasn't talking out of my ass as much as I normally do. And basically, the director of the first two films, through the success of the first two films, was becoming quite a bigwig in the Marvel sphere, and a right-wing troll who likes going through people's Twitter accounts and finding things to throw out of context, did such with James Gunn and found some tweets from 10 years ago that the context was pretty damn clear. He was being a complete ass and saying extraordinarily inappropriate things, just really, really inappropriate stuff. As a result of the hubbub about everything that he wrote, Disney pulled the pin.
Right. Okay. So what about, 10 years is a long time.
Yeah,
man.
10 years is a long time, and I'm not 100%, so we'll have to have our intern check in on this after the show. But from what I understand,
Of course, Ben.
it was sort of part of his job at the time to try and be posting like super edgy,
A provocateur.
Essentially these were jokes. There were like, from what I understand, there were like some pedophilia jokes and some rape jokes.
Wow.
It was an incredibly poor taste, but from what I understand, it was like part of his job at the time or something along those lines. And I don't know for sure, but these are jokes, and we all, as we all know, jokes sometimes are just not good jokes. You can't fault somebody for trying material.
Yeah, that's true, Ben. That's true.
Edgy or not, but yeah. So that's my understanding, was that at the time he was, whatever he was involved in, it was sort of expected of him to be posting edgy stuff, and obviously he wasn't very good at it. It's pretty awkward.
Yeah, I kind of took it, again, I don't know the context, but I took it as similar to the kind of Jackass, Johnny Knoxville era of comedy.
That would make sense.
And it was from around that time, if it was 10 years ago, I suppose, where like the major thread of young adult comedy at that time was just be a complete friggin' idiot and say the most horrible things that you can possibly say for the sake of getting attention. You had that like Bam Margera jackass having a show, making millions of dollars and all that kind of stuff. So it seems to have been in that context. And I don't know if it was part of his job or not, but he was clearly caught up in that thread of crap. And reading what he wrote, it's just like, seriously, man, number one, you're going to say that in public. Number two, you're going to say that at all. And number three, you're not going to expect to get a kick up the ass about it when people notice. It was just stupid all around. But as I said, one of the major themes of the movie for me was that immaturity arc for Quill, and it seems to have aligned quite perfectly with James Gunn based on his actions. And, he apologized in a way that I thought was reasonable and heartfelt, and it really mirrors the development of the character, so it kind of shows maybe part of why he was able to capture such a great piece of 80s nostalgia in the films.
I can't decide if that's totally brilliant or if you're just diving way too deep into that, dude.
I don't know. So much of the comedy in the film was just like asinine juvenile comedy. Yeah. It was like 13-year-old boy comedy, and that's the point of Quill's character.
Fair enough.
He's a 13-year-old who gets kidnapped and stays 13.
So I think James Gunn, I think this is just a conspiracy that he cooked up so that he could break off from Disney and Marvel for a little bit, just so he could get going on this new DC project with
Suicide Squad 2.
Yes, exactly. Suicide Squad 2. Because he never would have been able to do that if he was still working for Marvel. And now he gets to have his cake and eat it too.
Well, no. He might have done that if he was working for Marvel. They're not. It's not like they're beholden to Marvel. They're directors. They can go and do whatever they want. Actually, they want that. Actually,
I feel like they would be like that with the actors. Like if they suddenly wanted to hire Robert Downey Jr. to be Batman, I don't think Disney would be too cool with that.
Well, yeah, you never know. There have been actors. Now, this would be a great. Well, maybe it wouldn't be. I don't know. There's been multiple actors that have now done roles in films for both DC and Marvel, and I can't think of a single one off the top of my head, but I know they're in there.
Quality.
Yeah,
I think by choosing to have the main character be a 13-year-old in the 80s who then continues to act and reference the things from when he was 13 aligns perfectly with like the target audience. Like I would argue that we are the target audience, and everyone else that goes will just go to see a normal Marvel blockbuster. But like by making the kid and the main character act like us when we were 13, it really pulls at our heartstrings and nostalgia like almost immediately. He immediately references everything and is immediately exactly who we were at 13, give or take.
Well, yeah, I think like if you had pulled me directly out of the 80s, if an alien had kidnapped me, I think it would be something like that, you know?
Absolutely.
I mean, I still am extremely nostalgic about all that stuff. And when I go back to watch it now, it's rarely as good as I remember it being. But, you know, the memory of it's pretty awesome.
Definitely, man.
Yeah. And then it also has a Ready Player One vibe where in the book Ready Player One, which most people probably have seen because there was a recent film, one of the main threads is a tech billionaire who's really into the 80s hides an Easter egg in his game, and if you get the Easter egg, you get all his money. And in order to find it, you need to have all the 80s references. So all of society ends up becoming obsessed with the 80s as a result. And I feel like Guardians and Guardians Volume 2 have had a echo of that effect, because yesterday I was at a local
Comic-Con,
like a block party. No, I was doing some cosplay at Comic-Con. No, there was like a local street fair, and there were some like 16-year-old kids playing in a band on the stage, and like as we were walking away, they started playing Mr. Blue Sky by ELO, and I would argue pretty strongly that the only reason they even knew that song existed was because of the opening of Guardians 2.
Absolutely, man.
So as a result, like the movie targets us as 30-somethings, but it also captures the 16-year-old kids, and now it gets the 16-year-old kids into references like Knight Rider and ELO and stuff like that, because it's a current, meme and a current topic of pop culture.
Yeah.
So the movie targets us, but it also splashes over into everybody else.
I mean, if I can digress for 1 second, Chad, we're 40-somethings, not 30-somethings.
I'm still 30-something.
Oh my God. What are we? I never would have agreed to do this if I had known that previously. I'm quitting.
Boop, boop. Insert Skype hang-up sound.
Exactly. We'll go dig into your sound effects thing for the post.
Yeah, intern thing. I hate how I'm being.
Can we do a toilet flushing instead?
Oh, jeez, yeah. We'll get some.
There you go, even better.
Like Mexican radio host sound effects.
Oh my God!
All the Mexican radio stations in San Francisco when I worked, they had just the most hilarious sound effects.
I love it, man.
So yeah, I just feel like it really had the throwback thing was great, but it also, I think, was able to get younger viewers, make them aware of the throwbacks, and it kind of brought those throwbacks back into modern pop culture.
Well, yeah, but I mean, seriously, like, good. I'm glad that these kids are discovering this great music, even if it's through a comic book movie. Like, I don't really care, to be honest with you. Like, they need to know that stuff.
I just think it's funny that a 16-year-old would be like, I'm going to play something edgy. I'm going to play Mr. Blue Sky. And their mom and dad's like, yep, I had this on vinyl, dude. It's not the hot shit. What did you guys think about the tunes? I think the tunes were like almost a character in the movie.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Dude, the tunes are definitely there's a lot of films like that where the music is, so much a part of the film. Like, the only one that's coming to my head right now is Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction, but those two are the first two that are jumping into my head. But yeah, I agree with you. I think these two movies, they're very much built around those soundtracks, man. And I would do the same thing.
I was actually I was kind of hedging my bets on Volume 2 and whether or not they were going to be able to top the first soundtrack, because the first soundtrack was just epic. I was like, well, what's there? What do they got? Like, what are they going to do? And then boom, I think it's even better than Volume 1.
Yeah.
Speaking of Mr. Blue Sky, I mean, starting the movie off, with Baby Groot like hitting the play button.
So good.
Mr. Blue Sky coming on while they're like fighting that interdimensional being and just everything that ensues afterwards.
Yeah.
Oh God, so good.
There's like a multi-million-dollar special effect in the background that's out of focus, so that Baby Groot can dance.
Can dance, I know.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So perfect.
Exactly. You know what's fascinating to me is that like this is not the original Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, not to say that the films are like, you know, staying true to the canon, and I don't really care if they do. I mean, I think it's, if you're going to make a bunch of films about superheroes, like you're going to have to veer from like the comics. Like it just, they're two different mediums, you know? But this lineup of Guardians of the Galaxy is not the original Guardians of the Galaxy. In fact, I think only maybe one of the original Guardians is even in this lineup. Is that right?
Well, Guardians has always had sort of a, as far as I know, it's always had kind of a revolving cast of characters. You know, people come and go. I mean, even like the Avengers has sort of had like a revolving cast, and the X-Men is, you know, people come and go. So the Guardians has always kind of been
totally,
like that.
Man, totally.
Although maybe at a little bit higher of a turnover rate than the other two I just mentioned.
I like that you just said that maybe they have a little bit higher of a turnover rate, like they're working at a Burger King, dude.
Well, you know, when you're around that many knuckleheads, I can imagine the shelf life on how amusing it is. Probably...
They're not overly bright, so they probably die pretty quick.
That too. There you go. Yeah, you either die or you can't stand being around everybody, so you're just like, you know, you get off the boat as soon as possible.
It's like that infinite monkeys with infinite typewriters create a work of Shakespeare eventually kind of thing. You get enough idiots together and eventually some of them survive and become the Guardians.
There you go.
It's kind of like this podcast, yeah.
I don't really know, but yeah, I think that's as likely as anything.
No, I'm thinking about somebody asking me about Guardians of the Galaxy, and I want to say it's like Avengers, but I think they have a little bit higher of a turnover rate.
They just die way quicker.
I think people die faster. They don't all have superpowers. Like there's weird aliens.
Yeah, you know, I mean, the Avengers have at least two geniuses, you know, and I don't know if there's one in the bunch. Maybe Groot.
Well, Groot,
you know?
probably,
yeah, exactly.
but,
Groot
yeah.
probably is a genius, but then you wouldn't really know because he only says, "I am Groot."
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the only original member from the comics, anyway, the original 1969 run of the comic was Yondu, but Yondu's not even really in the Guardians in the film.
Yeah, they kind of switch some stuff around, but I don't know. I mean, I know I'm not sure that the cast in the film was actually ever really a line-up until they made the film. I know all those characters have been a Guardian at one point or another, you know, Star-Lord and Rocket Raccoon and Groot and Yondu and, you know, all those guys. But Gamora and they've all been in there at one point or another. But I don't know if they were all ever together until they put this particular movie together. Our fact checker will find out for us.
Totally. I mean, I want to just sort of circle back for a quick second. That the current team, like the team that's in the movie, right? Okay, they're part of the modern Guardians of the Galaxy, but. So that's like circa 2005, 2007, 2008 maybe. So yeah, I think that they've definitely been around, but just not the original. You know, so all the original fans of the original Guardians of the Galaxy are probably, you know, pulling their fingernails out over that, but these guys have definitely been around for a little while.
I don't know that there ever were any, to be honest.
That's it. They're just like, it was James Gunn. He was the only one.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, right. There you go. Perfect.
I bought a few comic books back in the day, but it was like Yondu was on the team, and then there was like this, you know, guy that was like had super strength because he had grown up on Jupiter.
Yeah, that was Stallone, right?
Really?
Essentially, yeah. That was sort of like Stallone's character, yeah.
Oh, okay. No kidding.
Yeah, the guy that so Stallone's character, okay, is basically Charlie 27, who was in the original team, who was the Jovian, the guy from Jupiter.
Oh, no kidding. Okay, so when I was reading the comic book, he was one of the characers.
Yeah, I mean, they've definitely taken some liberties and changed a few things around, but it's essentially Stallone's character. But I mean, because the original team was all from a different dimension and in the future, you know, because being from another Earth dimension isn't enough. They got to be from the future as well. So they were from like, Earth 691 in the year 3007.
Because why not?
Thank you. Yes, Earth 691. According to our intern.
I don't know if it's just because I don't know anything about Guardians, but I just find the references to the alternate universe numbers and the Stallone character like it's the nerdiest sounding thing ever. Like it's like just the nerdiest topic. I love it.
Well, you know what? I mean, you could say whatever you like, Chad, and I'm fine with it because this is essentially how my relationship with Jar Heego began.
This is true. Some people do know me as Jar Heego. Very few.
What was the origin of that? I thought it was like a reference to a Star Wars fighting game, but
no,
I'm clearly mistaken.
Kevin and I was showing Kevin these somebody, I think it was probably Sam, who had shown me this Star Wars fan film, and it was these two guys doing like martial arts with lightsabers.
We were watching a couple of them.
It was
yeah.
really, I forget what the name of it was, but it was these two guys doing martial arts with lightsabers, and it was really well done. But then we started like watching. It was like early YouTube, and we went back and started watching some of the other sidebar videos. And then there were like some other really not so good Star Wars fan films.
Guys running around in hooded robes.
No, so Jar Heego was just us making fun of these poor people that had probably worked really hard on their awful Star Wars fan film. Jar Heego!
No, right. It was basically, I don't take credit if I don't say it. Okay, and Ben was the one that said it, all right? He was the one that was making the joke. I remember exactly where we were when he made the joke, and he said, something, all these stupid fan fiction things with all these dumb characters like Jar Heego, and he rattled off a couple of other ones, but Jar Heego was the one that I laughed at the hardest, and then I was like...
Lord something. I was just coming up with really shitty Star Wars names off the top of my head.
Dude, Jar Heego is possibly the most Star Wars name ever.
It's I know, right?
So good.
I think so.
And then I got out my sword and I christened him Jar Heego henceforth, and that's what I've called him ever since.
It's good. It's really good.
It was brilliant.
Yeah, but then we were playing like Halo, and you took the name Jar Heego.
That's right, and that's why Chad calls me original continuity Jar Heego, and your current continuity Jar Heego.
Yeah, your Jar Heego was from Earth 725 in the year 2065.
An alternate timeline from the future. Yeah,
this has got to be the most geeked out segment of a podcast ever.
So,
oh my God,
we're completely derailed at the moment, but we're in the spirit of things, anyways. I think.
No, derailing for the origin story of your show Avatar is perfectly fine.
Well, what's wrong with talking about an origin story? I mean, we're to look at the podcast that we're doing. This is what we talk about. So, I'm sure there's geeks out there that are going to be like, they're just like us. I am Jar Heego.
We are just like you.
So
everybody.
there you have it.
Broken and enjoy juvenile humor.
We are just like you, everybody, and you're just like us.
Sorry.
Thanks, man. Okay, so where are we flying to next on our little Guardians adventure here?
Benny.
Yeah, well, something I wanted to touch on earlier. We kind of glanced by talking about Groot probably being a genius. And we talked a little bit about Yondu, but I was going to say, how awesome was it that, say what you want about Vin Diesel. I really think he brought that character to life with I Am Groot, just... So good. I mean...
Definitely.
They literally had him... He was wearing, plaster stilts, so he was, a good, 2 or so feet taller than normal. And they actually had prompts for him, this is what Groot is trying to say. And then he would have to say, I am Groot, in coordination with whatever whatever his answer in the dialogue was supposed to be.
Really? He was there, on set shooting it like Andy Serkis? I didn't know that.
No. He wasn't on set. Well, no, I don't think he was actually on set like Andy Serkis.
So he was on stilts in the recording studio?
Yeah, exactly. He was by himself in the recording studio on stilts, so he could get his head wrapped around being a tree,
plastering the ceiling.
No, Chad. No, he was wearing.
That's awesome.
You don't have to plaster the ceiling if you're wearing plaster or stilts. It's not mutually exclusive.
I don't know. I think it's a rule.
Although he might have broke out a little spackle and filled a couple holes while he was there.
I need another bucket of joint compound in here, boys. I am Groot. Give me another menthol. Thank you.
I am Groot.
Jesus Christ.
That's clearly a New England plasterer, hey?
If Groot was from New Bedford.
Yeah. Nobody hears from New England, folks at home.
No one knows anything about New England.
Oh, my God. Yeah, anyways.
I didn't pick up that it was actually Vin Diesel the first time I watched it, I don't think, until I saw it in the credits. I mean, it's pretty hard to pick up on it, considering he says 3 freaking words the whole time. But it was awesome that when I found out it was him.
Yeah.
I have 2 things to say when everybody's ready.
Yes, go ahead.
I think that Vin Diesel is great in the part, and I think that he is underrated as an actor. I think he's done some really great work. I think he kind of gets, he's sort of been typecast, maybe pigeonholed into those kind of, XXX type dudes, but I think he's capable of a lot more. So, I'm not surprised.
Totally. I love Riddick, even though it's in the typecast.
Jesus.
All the Riddick stuff was really good.
Yeah, Jar Heego and I are huge Riddick fans. I mean, we could go on forever about that.
We should talk about Riddick. So let's put a little footnote in there to do a podcast about that in the future. Because we're huge on that shit.
You just put the footnote in by saying that, brother. Yes, Riddick in the future, definitely. But I think he's definitely talented, man. And yeah, so when you say whichever one of you just said, he really brought that character to life.
Yeah, the guy had 3 words, and I think he did it fucking great job. And you never even see his face on
yeah, he did.
In the
Absolutely.
movie, but he really put himself into it with those 3 words.
All right, here's what I was going to say. My first was my compliment towards Vin Diesel. All right, he's definitely a very capable actor. Secondly, I got to be honest with you, man. I'm tired of Baby Groot. I'm tired of teenage Groot. I'm tired of all the I want regular Groot back. I was totally into Groot in the first film, and he kicked ass, and he was awesome. And I was bummed out when he blew himself up. And I get that he has to grow back into Groot, but I'm ready for full on Groot again. I want to see full on Groot, smashing dinner plates and shit or whatever.
Is he Greek?
Ben, I don't know why you're laughing, because that was such a bad joke.
I don't know.
Actually, you know what? My joke was bad. I'm wrong. Chad was right to make fun of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, good laughing, Ben. Thanks, Ben.
Stick that in your joint compound, dude.
Yeah.
Groot.
Yeah, Teen Groot, I don't know. Teen Groot didn't really bother me too much, but I'm with you. I hope they go back to original Groot. Teen Groot's kind of like Crystal Pepsi, and main Groot is the original formula.
And then what was Baby Groot? Pepsi Zero?
Baby Groot's like Tab.
Wow.
RC.
Let me tell you about Tab, dude. I ran over with my car an empty carton of Tab today.
What?
Do you what? You bought Tab? They still make Tab?
No. I ran over an empty 12-pack holder of Tab today in my vehicle.
That's how you know you're in New England.
That's exactly right, but that's Tab for you right there.
There it is.
I ran it over in a muddy puddle in my car today.
So it's perfect. If Baby Groot is Tab, then you fulfilled the prophecy of hating Baby Groot. This is the worst analogy I've ever come up with in my life, but it fits perfectly.
That's great, and I think that's where we should leave it, guys. So.
Yeah, fuck Tab and fuck Baby Groot. Next.
Yeah, exactly. Can we go out on prophecy? Because it was really prophecy that got me the most right there.
Yeah.
You fulfilled the prophecy. Oh my God. Wow. Let me call Shadowfax. All right. Thank you, Ben.
Speaking of underrated actors, how about Drax, man?
Oh, Dave Bautista. Yeah.
Definitely.
Dave Bautista, man. So underappreciated, but becoming more appreciated.
And very humorous. He's got really great timing.
Dude, he's funny as shit.
I have famously large turds. Yeah.
Dude, Drax is so good. One of my favorite Drax bits in both of the movies is how he calls the Ronin dude in the first one and tells them where they are because he wants to fight him. Like he's the perfect Deus Ex Machina. You know, like, you're like, how are they gonna push this plot along? It's like Drax fucking calls the guy.
Yeah,
so good.
Yeah, that is good. I like that.
It's like so self-referential, but hilarious at the same time because it's exactly what he would do.
It is exactly what he would do.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, he's like gone full The Rock or John Cena or whatever. And I just love how all these wrestlers are just becoming legit actors. It's so funny.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah, but they are already legit actors. They were before.
I know. I'm not arguing it.
Thing,
it's just hilarious. I think the thing I like most about people like The Rock or the other wrestler dudes is they seem really like down to earth and humble and not full of shit. They kind of, in a way, they knew they came up in wrestling, which is just a hilarious, weird thing. And so they're just like, fuck it. You know, we're normal people and we work hard and we, you know, capitalize on our talent and stuff. And they're not just like pompous twats who like went to acting classes or whatever.
Definitely.
Well, I mean, they've worked really hard too. I mean, I'm not.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm not a giant, you know, pro wrestling fan, but yeah, those guys are incredible stuntmen. You know, they work really hard to pull all that stuff off, and yeah, my hat's off to them for sure. Yeah, Dave Bautista, he's great. Michael Rooker,
he was not a wrestler, dude.
Nobody's awesome.
Rooker was not a wrestler, man.
No, I was making a really jankety ass segue there. So we're talking about actors in the movie and people that we really enjoyed their performance.
Rooker would have made a pretty good wrestler, though. He could have pulled it off.
I bet he would have. Yeah, no doubt. He can be really scary, Michael Rooker.
Definitely.
Some of the roles he's played, he's very convincingly.
I was never really familiar with him overly.
Yeah,
dude, Michael Rooker has been in everything, man. He has been in so many things. He was in Tombstone.
Yep.
The list goes on and on. He's done a ton of westerns. He's been in a lot of stuff. He's great. I was a fan of his.
Mallrats. That's right. He's the guy that like eats the shit pretzels or whatever.
Yes, he eats the shit pretzels.
That's exactly right. The shit pretzels.
That was such a dumbass movie.
Yeah, he was in The Walking Dead.
It's such a great movie, though.
Great. Yeah, he plays a great, kind of scary dude, but he's also capable of being really funny.
Oh my God, yeah, very, very funny.
Yeah, really talented guy. It's a shame he's gone. Damn it.
It's interesting when you were saying before, Mulvey, about the soundtrack reminding you of kind of the major soundtracks that had were a character. So the Tarantino movies when you were talking about like the Tarantino movie soundtracks being like a major part of the film and how this also has a soundtrack that's a major part of the film, I feel like Guardians also has that resurrecting actors' careers or like reinvigorating, maybe is a better way to put it, like certain actors' careers. And I haven't been following Michael Rooker, but like his choosing to cast him, I think was such an awesome decision, similar to like the John Travolta being cast as the dude in Pulp Fiction. So it kind of has that similar vibe of casting really interesting people, and like even just some of the cameos, like having Hasselhoff in the second movie for a few seconds, and the use of the cameos and stuff was so good.
Wait, Hasselhoff was in the second. Wait, where was Hasselhoff in the second film?
When Kurt Russell is like about to die or whatever towards the end, he's like transforming and he's like, I tried my best to be your dad, and then he turns into Hoff for a second and like says, like I did what I could, and then turns back into Kurt Russell. It's just like a 2-second cameo, but it's hilarious.
Wow, yeah. Right.
I remember now.
Yes, I remember now from the Sacred Scrolls.
And then like Ving Rhames is one of the Ravagers that they cut to in the funeral, and Michelle Yeoh. Like there's some really awesome little cameos in there.
Yeah, but they're playing characters that were in the like those. Some of their characters were
like legit canon,
part of the original team.
Yeah, hopefully they
comics
can get them in for the third one or something.
I've heard that's a thing. I've heard that Stallone's character, that whole little Ravager crew, is going to be a bigger part in the in the next movie. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But it seems likely.
Well, I think it was in the comics. His character became Starhawk.
Which character?
Stallone's characters became Starhawk, who was part of the Galactic Guardians, which was like the second team of the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Like the West Coast Avengers or X-Force.
So not to be too confusing, but there's the Guardians of the Galaxy from planet 762 in the year 3000, and then there's the Galaxy Guardians from...
No, the Galactic Guardians.
It's like, holy shit. It's almost like they hired dyslexic artists and like just went with the weird shit that they got back with. And like, okay, cool.
We'll do that.
Let's just do that.
Yeah, it's like, they were like, oh, we need to do a secondary team because we have too many people. Let's come up with a name that's so similar that it's confusing. You know what I mean?
Go ask dyslexic Dave what he thinks. He's like, I think Galaxy Guardians. There you go. It's done.
The Galactic Guardian. I mean, that's like the secondary team of a team that was so kind of underdog and ragtaggy to begin with.
So
I have a hard time believing that back in the day, Guardians of the Galaxy had so many characters that they had to break it up into two teams. I mean, were they actually selling that many comics, or like?
Right, I'm just pissed that I didn't think of what Ben just said, because he's exactly right. Like, why a team in a book that is so obscure, that is not selling well, needed to make a secondary team? Hey, folks, don't forget to check out our other podcast. In this episode, Everyone's Alive, featuring Chad, Ben, and myself.
Oh, God. That is hilarious.
Where we talk about really serious business shit.
Yeah, right, exactly. And someday we're going to have a crossover. It's going to be awesome.
You know, one thing that I never noticed until watching it again recently was the Infinity Stone stuff. I didn't realize that the Infinity Stone and all this Infinity War crap was introduced in the first Guardians movie. I completely missed that. I suppose I had never read any of that Thanos-y comic book stuff, but I thought it was super interesting.
Really?
I mean, it's a pretty big part.
Wow, how did you miss that? Yeah, I thought...
Oh, it's not that I missed that there was an Infinity Stone. It's just that I wasn't aware of the further story of the Infinity Stones and how it turns into the whole Thanos thing. And so the entire Infinity War movie and all the Avengers-y stuff was made possible from this hilarious 80s juvenile, ridiculous, funny movie. You know, like it's interesting how critical of a role in the Marvel Extended Universe this movie played by introducing the Infinity Stones.
Right, but Ben, to be fair to Chad, like they don't really start talking about it as an Infinity Stone till the end of the film, if I'm recalling that correctly, right?
They don't go into huge detail about it.
Yeah. But I mean,
Chad, I was asking Ben.
Think about a
I'm not saying I missed that it was an Infinity Stone. I'm just saying that I didn't know the further story of the Infinity Stones.
Gotcha. Like, because that was kind of like the whole
main thing
plot of the movie.
Yeah, I gotcha. I just
like, how did you miss that, dude?
Didn't quite explain myself. I didn't realize that there was an Infinity Stone. Like, dude, in every scene they're talking about it. Did you guys know that the Infinity Stone plot device and all the Thanos-y Endgame Infinity War crap happened? Did you read all that stuff back in the day?
No, I didn't actually. I didn't.
Yeah. I'm not an expert, but yeah, I was aware of the whole thing.
You were aware of it? Yeah, cool.
I had a cursory knowledge of it. Like, I knew it was a thing, and like the Infinity War has been referenced like a zillion times in various different articles about all kinds of superhero related things. So I knew what it was. I've never read it though.
Yeah, same. I'd never read any of that stuff. It's funny for someone who like calls himself a comic book person. Like, I never read any of the fucking things.
And with us today is comic book expert Chad Walsh, also known as C-Lab Forever.
Good Lord. One of my favorite things, Ben, and like I almost spit my tab all over the screen when I was watching it, was when at the end of Guardians 2, that freaking James Gunn's brother character gives the dude, he's like, it's called a Zune. I was like, yes, Ben, yes.
Oh, dude, this is the perfect way to bring this one home. Because I have that Zune.
That exact Zune. You're the only person I've ever met that's owned a Zune, and I loved it when I heard that. It was so good.
Kev had one.
Dude, Ben got me into the Zune. I still have my Zune as well.
Yeah, but Ben had the original continuity Zune. You had the Earth 762 Zune.
Dude, I had that exact same, like the brown Zune.
Oh my god. Yeah, he did. It was brown.
I love it. And he's like, it's got 300 songs. He's like, 300 songs? So funny.
Yeah. Everybody shits on the Zune, but you know what?
Fuck them.
It had a color screen. I could watch movies on it. Microsoft was actually one of the first to do like a music subscription service. So it was ahead of its time, really.
Totally.
But it was also brown and really ugly. So
Shit brown Zune. I think that was actually the name when you bought it. It was like, it comes in silver or shit brown.
Yeah. Pretty
It was the product name.
Pretty much. It was really weird. It was like brown, but it had like a sort of a greenish, purplish, transparent layer over it.
It had like corn kernels in it.
It did have corn kernels in it. Yes, it did. And peanuts.
And a peanut or two.
And a couple.
No, I think that's
peanuts.
perfect because, we'll talk about Apple hating on Apple next week and how the Zune fucking rules. So it's like kind of a perfect little precursor to next week's topic.
I don't know if this episode is heavy on content, actual content that people want to hear, but it definitely was heavy on jokes that made me chuckle a lot. So, guys, I want to thank you for that.
Yeah, that's all we got to do.
If you want to know about the movie, go see the movie.
And that's a wrap, folks.
And that's it. I'd like to thank our intern. Guy's really good.
Yeah.
Been working really hard.
Yeah, thanks, Jimmy.
All right, guys.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Yeah, no worries. Next week, we're talking all about how much we hate Apple, so tune in.
And that's going to wrap up this week's episode. If you want to find links to the stuff we spoke about today, you can find them in the show notes in your podcast app of choice or at the website ebd.fm/3. If you have any thoughts on the show or an idea for a topic, hit us up on Twitter at ebdpod. You can find me at Moverine on Twitter. That's MOHLVERINE. Chad is at Chad Normal on Twitter. And Ben is at Jar Heego on Twitter. That's JARHEEGO. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time, folks.